everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of the one and only Crash Course. Here we go again. I think it's been a while. It's been a few weeks. We're looking to just talking to my good buddy and business associate Anthony from. By the way, folks, he is the owner-operator of Barone Media Solutions Incorporated. Now, you've heard me speak about these guys before. Hey, if you need that kind of work, right, if you're looking to get a little more exposure out there and get your brand with a little more traction, a little more visibility, you really need to work with these guys, right? Anthony is top of his game, right? Gives you a fair price, but better than a fair price, he gives you an excellent work product. All right, and he's somebody you can rely on, and he's going to be there for you. He listens to you, and he makes sure that he finds something that works for you, and not just him. Right, that's important. A lot of these guys are going to sell you a bag of goods. You know, they want to make a buck, and they're going to put a little something together that looks fancy and schmancy for them. And that's not what most people need, right? Most of us need something that works for us, right? So Barone Media Solutions Incorporated, all right, are the folks that you need to reach out to, all right, if what you're looking for is increased visibility, brand recognition, some marketing, all right, and I think they get involved in some advertising too as well, right? But marketing and brand recognition, big thing, right? I mean, we all need more of that. Who doesn't need more of that? All right, so look those guys up, all right, and give them a shout so they can come over there and help you out, help your business, and get you to the next level, right? There was a book I read, speaking of next level, it's a book I read when I was doing my MBA studies, and it was called Good to Great. Real interesting book. So if anybody out there in the audience here is a business owner, all right, or even for that matter, maybe a business development manager, all right, for your corporation or your small business, you should get a copy of this book because it's really good. All right, I doubt many people even read anything like this anymore. But excellent book. And what they did was they went ahead and interviewed the CEOs of 6 major companies. Now I don't recall all of them, but I know one of them was Southwest Airlines. Another one was FedEx. And I can't remember what the other ones were, the other 3. But it's called Good to Great. And the reason why they named it that is because, for the most part, a lot of companies, okay, well, if you're fortunate enough, right, if you launch something from scratch, if you're an entrepreneur, all right, like we are over here at Crash Course, right, and we have Collision Services Network as well, right? And if you've done that kind of thing, you really understand, the amount of work and effort that goes into it, right? And anxiety, right? I mean, because there is anxiety, right? You don't know if it's going to work, if it's not going to work. You don't know. You might have identified a problem, right, or a problem that you think that needs a solution. But we don't always know if the public agrees with the solution or necessarily agrees that there's a problem, right? But those are generally some of the things that you look for. Okay, if you're gonna launch a business. Right, it should do one of 3 things, right? It should either solve a problem, right, or provide a service or a product, all right. And usually, you want it to what? You want it to be something that people need, want, and can use. Okay. So if you're fortunate enough to hit on all those, all right, or if you're in the service part of things and you're fortunate enough to hit on a solution for a problem that a solution that provides a real positive outcome for a real problem, whether it be for the consumer or whether it be in whatever industry it is, a business process or anything like that. Well, then hell, you should be on your way. So this book takes a look at that, right? Takes a look at 5 or 6 companies, and interviews the CEOs. And it talks to them about how they were able to take their company from good to great. And I really think that this can be utilized across the whole spectrum of business, right? I guess that's where I'm going with this, because I digressed a little bit and talked about small business entrepreneurs and launching things from grassroots, from a business plan to actually getting something off the ground. Obviously these were established corporations, right? But they had to start from somewhere. Okay, and then once they started, and once they began to compete in their prospective industries, they had to do something, right, to go from good to great. All right, so if you're fortunate enough to have a business, a small business, and you're around after 5 years, everybody says that you've made, you've survived past what most businesses do. And congratulations, you should be able to exist. And that's fine for a lot of us. Existing is great. You make a little money, you keep busy and stuff like that, right? And I guess for a lot of people, that would be considered good. So this book looks at the people and the corporations that were able to push their company from good to great, right? And there is a big difference, right? I don't think I ever really thought about this either until I took this business course, and it was a management leadership course involving business administration and business processes, and how these CEOs were able to get their company to transition from good to great. All right. And it's not good. I know it's, for all of us, right, that own small businesses out there, I know we're probably all, we're like, oh, my company, I have a good company, and I worked my ass off to get there, and it's really doing great and everything. Right. And I understand that more than anybody else. All right. Because I'm still banging my head against the wall to get this thing, to the next level. But we don't give up. And we got a lot of good things happening in 26 around that whole idea there. But getting back to the central theme here, good to great. So, a lot of us are good, right? We're good, right? People ask, how's your business? Good. It's good. Very few people ever answer, oh, it's great. It's great. Oh, I have a great business. I have great employees. So the book Good to Great is something I strongly urge everybody out there that's an entrepreneur or that owns a company that, may have been around for a while now, and you kind of stagnated, or, you might be thinking to yourself, shit, how do I get this thing to the next level? Well, this book helps to lay out a framework, a pathway for that by other reasons also in the book. I mean, they touch on a lot of different management concepts and leadership, protocols and things like that, and different leadership modalities and motivational modalities. But what's important is the central theme is around these CEOs, all right, and how they were able to get the entire company to move from good to great. They were all good companies, right? We know Southwest, we know Verizon, we know, what was the other one that was in there? FedEx, right? We all know these guys, okay? But how did they become great, right? Like I said, I never even thought about this, but there really is a difference. There's a huge difference, right? A lot of us end up good, and good's okay. Nothing wrong with good, but people that are motivated a lot of times scratch their head and they get frustrated. They don't know how to go from good to great, right? How the hell do I get this to the next? My company's in good shape. I'm doing good. Company's good. How's everything good? But yeah, I don't know if you'd probably hesitate to say it's great. I'm doing great. We're great. The company's great. So good to great. There's a real transition period there, and it's a gray area. But how do you get through that gray area, right? And that's what this book covers. And it's a real interesting read, and I definitely recommend it for anyone in our audience out there, or anybody who listens to the podcast here, Crash Course. If you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, or maybe somebody that's, been dabbling in that, and you're trying to figure out, where do you go? How do you get there? Well, pick up a copy of this book and read it from, cover to cover. And it's pretty cool. All right. To listen to these guys and see how they were able to do that. All right. And not everybody is, right? Not every company's great. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of companies out there, right? Even in the Fortune 500, the Fortune 100, thousands of these companies, hundreds. But they're not all great, and they might all be doing good, but very few of them ever reach great. They might think they're great in their head, but very few of them hit great. But these companies did. These companies are, even today, I would argue, are great in their respective industries. And, and so this is a blueprint for how they did it. All right. So look for that book, Good to Great. I think it's a great read. All right. So I digress. Let's get into some of the minutia here. Right. Been away from the mic, like I said, for a little bit. Folks, we're trying to, we're going to try and desperately to revamp everything for you guys out there. I really appreciate everybody following us, Crash Course. We've been at this for quite a while now. We have a solid following. I really appreciate it. Keep spreading the word. Things are getting worse, not better out there, all right, in the insurance and collision world. Sorry to say. Speaking of collision, on my way here, I'm on Sunrise Highway. It's in Suffolk County, Long Island, and real nasty accident over there just after the Robert Moses in the westbound lane. Terrible accident, rollover. There were 4 cars involved, and then I shit you not, I go about a mile further east, and there's another 4-car accident. So it's getting crazy out there. As soon as the sun comes out and weather gets nice around here in Long Island, New York, boy, people just lose their minds, I guess. All right. And that's difficult enough, right? You've heard me talk about that, right? Getting in an accident's no joke. It really isn't, right? Obviously. But God forbid, you've never dealt with the insurance company. You've never gotten involved with collision shops, which most of us probably don't. Right? If you even want to look at that statistically it says every 10 years you will be involved in an accident, right? You've heard me say this on the radio when we had the program over there at the radio. We did an episode on that. So sooner or later, unfortunately, all of us are going to experience some kind of accident. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a major one, God forbid. It could be a fender bender or something like that. But the law of averages is against us, folks. It just is. All right. And about every 10 years, on average, most people experience some kind of stuff like that. So here at Crash Course, what we've been doing for quite a while now, and we're very proud of that, and we're the only show dedicated. Okay, we can say this without reservation. The only show that is dedicated. I want to make this really clear, because there's a lot of bullshit out there, a lot of nefarious stuff that goes on out there around body shops and all. I mean, you have Auto Body Magazine, you have Fender Bender Magazine, I have a copy of that right here. Remember, I always like to joke, I read the things you don't want to read, right? I listen to shit you don't want to listen to. All right, and then I try and paraphrase it and get it out to you guys, if it's something I feel that's going to help people. But these guys, there's guys in here, they run podcasts and all this other shit and everything. But you know what it is, though? Here's a central theme. Maybe I shouldn't even say this. I don't know. Maybe I could be shooting myself in the head here. I don't know. But the one thing they don't do that we do, and we've done this from the beginning, and I have said this to all you folks out there that have been following me. Thank you very much for your continued support. And like I always say, you're the smartest people in the room when it comes to this kind of stuff. Trust me, you are. All right. And education is key. But you know what I say, right? Education and knowledge is good. It is. But here's the other something they never told you about that, though. Right? Knowledge and education is power. Well, I say bullshit to that. It's only power if you know where to go and what to do with it. Right? So here at Crash Course, that's what we do. All right. You know the mantra, right? We're giving you information and knowledge you need and can use, and advice you can trust. All right. And the big difference here between Crash Course and all these other guys out there that are dabbling in all this shit, I got a podcast, tires go round are us, or, automobiles are us, and, fender bender, blah, 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 all this crap. Here's the difference, folks. All right. And it's a real difference. This is what separates us from the herd. Okay. We come directly to the people. All right. From the beginning. From the very beginning of our little beginning over there at the radio show, right, when we were a pre-recorded half-an-hour show, right, and then eventually we became an hour show, and then we went to a live show, and it was call-in, blah, blah, blah. We just kept getting better and better over there. It was great. We had a lot of fun over there. Hopefully some of you guys remember that. We met a lot of really cool people. We had some really cool shows. We had some nice giveaways, and it was a lot of fun. And fun is cool, right? Everybody likes fun, man. Who don't like fun? And I loved it. I had a blast. I couldn't wait to get there and get behind the mic and talk to people, and run our little contest and and give people some nice stuff and a nice little card and stuff, gift card and stuff like that. Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, I don't know, whatever the hell we're doing, 7-Eleven or some shit. Where was I going with this? Oh. But the point here is, and this is a very big point to make, right? This is this is what separates us from the herd. All right. I was just talking about the radio show and how we were doing the contest and how we had the call-ins, and Anthony was my engineer at the desk there. He remembers that. We had a blast. We always had a good time. But what were we doing? We were interacting with people. We were going right to the people. We were giving you folks information. These other guys ain't doing that. They run a podcast and they get some talking head in there. And this is Mike so-and-so. And I think the guy's name is Mike Anderson or some shit. I think I met him. I think we were at an Assured Certified Performance Summit. Yeah, I think so. In Atlanta. It's got to be 5-6 years ago already. Maybe 6 years ago. And I met the guy. Nice guy. But this guy shows up, in all these articles and shit. And he's, I ran a body shop for 5,000 years. And, and they go from one panel to the other, and they get one swinging dick on from Allstate, and another swinging dick from State Farm. Hey, how you doing, man? They pat each other on the back. What are we doing? Where we going tonight? Crock of shit. It's all a crock of shit. And they'll have a panel for this and a panel for that, and we, pound the table. Things need to get better, and you need to be aware of this, and you need to. It's all horse shit, folks. I'm here to tell you, it's all horse shit. Okay, all of it. Sounds great. Sounds good. At the end of the day, it always comes down to brass tacks. It always comes down to where the rubber meets the road, man. Right? And a lot of folks out there should be shaking their head right now and saying that guy's dead on. Okay. All the hyperbole and all the other stuff sounds good, and it makes for good, good theater and good rhetoric and everything. But let me tell you something. It's all horseshit. I've been to these seminars. I've been there, like I said, the Assured Certified Performance Summit and all this other stuff. And nothing changes. In fact, it's gotten worse. And it's getting worse. Okay? It keeps getting worse. And I could say that because I'm 63 and I've been in this crap hole industry for almost over 34 years now. So I could say that, and I'm no swinging dick, and I was no CEO executive with Allstate or State Farm or or some other company, USAA, Progressive. No, I was a clog in the wheel. I was a worker bee. All right, I had a little pull here and there at times, but I was a worker bee. But that's okay. Worker bees are good because worker bees sift out the bullshit. Okay, right? Come on, man. Everybody knows that. If you're in a union shop out there, right, you have your union rep, that's what his job is, to sift all the bullshit and deliver the real stuff to you. So all these things are great. They have a purpose, right? They disseminate information. Great, terrific. But at the end of the day, it's all about the folks. It's all about dissecting this stuff, all right, and getting it out there and letting you guys know what the reality of things are. All right. It's all about where the rubber meets the road. Okay. How the hell is this going to help me or hurt me? That's it. That's all I give a shit about. And like I said, I go to these things. I go to these training seminars and, and they have these guys, I was in the industry for 80,000 years. And I remember when we were terrific, pal. That's great. Wonderful. Next guy gets up there and tells you about how wonderful things were, or how great things are going to be. And then they get another two assholes out of with insurance company A and B, and we're interested in working with the body shop industry and this and no, they're not. They're full of shit. They're all full of shit. In fact, when I was at the Assured Certified Performance Summit 6 years ago, they had one of those panels, and they had some idiot from Allstate and some other idiot from another insurance company, and they were all sitting there 6 years ago, folks. Hello, 6 years ago. And I could tell you the shit's deeper and worse now than ever before. And yet these idiots were sitting there trying to convince everybody out there in the audience, of which the majority of us were body shop guys. Okay, I'm just saying. There might have been some other business interests out there, people from the paint industry, from the body supply industry and stuff like that. There were people from across the spectrum, but the majority of people were from the body shop industry, the collision industry. And this guy's, blowing all kinds of hot air out there about how, we need to work together to figure things out. Yeah, okay. 6 years later, it's worse now than I've ever seen it. Okay? And what do I mean by that? When you hear me say it's worse now, it's getting bad. What I mean is this. It's getting bad for me and you. Okay? And if you work for an insurance company, great, terrific. I did too. Wonderful. Here's the problem, though. The company, okay, once you leave and you don't work there, all right, or if you get in an accident, the company now just becomes another entity. Never mind that you work there. It doesn't matter. You don't get any special treatment when you work for an insurance company. You don't get any discounts. In fact, I would argue it's even worse because they scrutinize you and they look at you. All right. So when you hear me say it's getting worse, or it's gotten worse from 6 years ago, what I mean is this. I'm talking dollars and cents. Remember I said where the rubber meets the road? Well, this is what I'm talking about. You and I, dollars and cents. That's how it's getting worse. It's getting better for them, the insurance guys, and worse for you and me. Okay, and this article right here, I'm going to touch on it briefly. Subrogation recovery trends driving antitrust behavior. This is an interesting article. I remember I said I read this shit because you're not going to read it, or you can't read it. Here it is right here. I'll show you. Okay, so everybody knows I'm not yanking anybody's chain. Okay, and this is coming out because in case we have some, hopefully we have, I'm hoping we have a lot of body shop guys that subscribe to Crash Course by this time. All right, because I mean, guys, this is what we're all about here. We're about supporting the independent auto body industry, right? I mean, from its inception, that was part of our mission. It still is. Collision Services Network. We're here to promote and support the independently owned and operated auto body industry. And it's only through a robust, independent industry in the auto body and collision world that the consumer's best interest is served. All this other shit, DRPs, contract shops, sponsored shops, destructive, horrible, does nothing to promote consumer confidence, safety, or higher standards in repair. In fact, it's destructive of that, all that. It promotes lower wages, eliminates competition, all right? It does nothing for the consumer. So here's the magazine, Fender Bender. Okay? If you're in the auto body industry, you know exactly what this is. All right. These guys are good. I like it. You know, I glean a lot of useful stuff out of here. And, you know, sometimes it's hogwash horse shit too, you know, where they like to blow smoke up each other's ass about how they, you know, you need to figure out how to work with the insurance company. No. I say it's time to tell the insurance industry to go pound salt and get back to basics. Okay, especially here in New York. We're in New York. All right. Now, New York, we have a very let me just say, we used to have a very robust and what I would say a very energetic regulation. It's called Reg 64. I don't think it's that anymore. In fact, I've just been informed that parts of it have been rewritten. I didn't know. I had no idea. Apparently it has. Rewritten by who? I have no idea. A bunch of fucking lawyers up there in Albany that probably get their wallets padded by the insurance company reps and the lobbyists and all you've heard this all before, lobbying and all this other shit, right? It's all corruption. It's all it is, folks, corruption. Legalized corruption. And all of a sudden the regulation miraculously overnight gets rewritten, and guess who it favors? Oh, shit. Oh, boy. Yeah, look, it favors the insurance guys. Oh, crap. So this article here, I thought this is real interesting. If you're in the auto body industry, right, and you haven't seen this, wake up, okay? Because this is something you need to know about right now. Subrogation recovery trends driving antitrust. So what do they mean by that? Well, subrogation is a fancy word. You've heard me talk about it here. All right. I'll just boil it down to this. It's basically getting your money back. That's what it is. Insurance company A goes after insurance company B, says, hey, asshole. You know, we paid our guy over here, and your guy's the reason why we had to pay him. Give me my freaking money back. I mean, that's it. You know, it's legalized extortion. You know, I paid him, and now I want my money back from you because your guy's an idiot, and I need my shit back. All right? So that's subrogation. I mean, there's a lot more legalese to it, but boilerplate down for the average Joe, that's what's going on there. All right? So when your company makes a payment, they want their money back, right? I want my freaking money right now. I paid this asshole $10,000 because I made a promise to him, and he got hit by your guy, and he didn't want to use your insurance. He used his own insurance. Go figure. And now I'm out 10 grand. I want my money back. That's subrogation. All right. So what they're indicating here is that the process of subrogation, I'll boil all this down. I thought this is very, 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 okay, instructive in the type of corporate cronyism, and I would also say corruption, and maybe even, like the article indicates, antitrust. Okay. I'm no, legal brain trust here. All right. But I'm just saying. All right. So this author, he's Andrew Batterhorst. He's another guy. Like I said, all these guys that show up in here, I own body shops and this and that, and I don't know, they become authorities on everything. I don't know. But anyway, he either wrote the article or contributed to it. I have no idea. But he indicates here that because the subrogation process involves companies trying to recover monies from other insurance companies who they themselves have different ideas of what should be paid to their guy, don't necessarily always fully reimburse your guy. I don't know if everybody followed that. So your company gets, you get in an accident with some jerk off, right? You decide to use your insurance. They pay out $12,000 in damages. Now they want to go get their money back because of that asshole that hit you. Problem is that guy's with the real jerk off insurance company, okay? And they don't like to pay, which is most of them today. Well, all of them, just about. They don't like to pay, right? So your company is one of the better ones, and they do pay. They are fair, all right? I don't like to say pay because, it's not a bank, all right? They should be allowing for things that are fair and reasonable or expected and necessary to return a car to pre-loss condition, all right? That's what they should be doing. They're not. That's what they should be doing. So let's say in a perfect world, your company did that. Now they go to this other company who's run by a bunch of jerk-offs and assholes, and they decide that saving money and driving up their stock value, all right, brings to mind Allstate, is more important than serving the greater good or, in the case of their insured, delivering on the promise that they made. So they tell your insurance company, well, you guys want $12,000, but here's the problem. You paid for a lot of shit that we don't agree with. We don't think it should be paid for. We don't agree that it should have been paid for like that. We don't agree that should have been painted. So, you're getting $10,000. And now your insurance company goes, oh, wait a minute. I'm getting $10,000. What the fuck? What the hell? I need 12. I paid my guy 12, and your asshole is the reason why, and I want my money back. Well, we're only giving you 10. Because you use parts and did different things on your estimate that we don't agree with. We don't pay for. Because we're cheap son of a bitches, and we use bottom of the barrel parts and cheap shit and no labor, and we don't negotiate and fair, and we don't allow for fair and reasonable. And we screw our insureds, and we basically, wrote a rooter a liability claim. They wouldn't actually say this. I'm saying it. And as a result, we don't really think that we should pay you 12. We're going to pay you 10. So, setting aside the humor and the platitudes and everything else, there is something very serious going on here, though. Okay? And I do think that this author has hit on something very serious, and I do think it's a form of antitrust. Now, great, right? Where am I going to go with that? God knows we tried here at Crash Course, Collision Services Network. I busted my ass here in New York, folks. Let me tell you. I was working with, if you guys have been listening to me for a while, you know that for quite a while. I was working with a local assemblyman, Gandolfo. And I have to say to his credit, he did go the full Monty for us, and he did try and get the regulation changed to the benefit the Long Island auto body industry, which, indirectly helps the consumer. But unfortunately, he came up against, corruption, which is what Albany, New York is known for. And a whole cadre of lawyers met him and his politician buddies out in the hallway and said that all this shit looks good, but it's not going to happen. Goodbye. So the only other way to get anything done would have been to force the issue onto the floor in a legislative matter. And, of course, the Republicans are in the minority, and the Democrats who say that they're for the little guy and they always want to help the little guy, I don't know. But they don't seem too anxious to want to help out with that. So anyway, as usual, the thing died in committee and never went anywhere. But we did try. Okay, so if our buddies out there from LIABRA, Long Island Auto Body Association, which I hear is basically a name only thing now. So I want to tell you, folks, Collision Services Network, we are the real deal, and I've been saying this for the longest time from the beginning. Right? I always said we are the first and only voice of the Long Island auto body industry. And that's because we talk directly to your prospective customer, the consumer. All right. And we've been doing this for over 5 years. We're getting back to this to close out this show today. All right. So basically what's going on here is a form of antitrust, right? Because what happens if I can't recover the money that I need in my company, all right, if I'm paying out all this money and I'm not getting it back, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to start telling my guys, hey, guys, hold on a second. These other companies, I don't know what we're doing, but they're not paying for shit here. So guess what? We're not either. Now, that's antitrust. Okay? That's antitrust. And I'm sure, if there's some lawyer people out there, they're probably all laughing and screaming at me right now. That's bullshit, especially if they work for the insurance company. All right? I don't think it's bullshit. I think it's a veiled form of antitrust. Okay? Now, again, I'm not some PhD guy here, but I do have an MBA, and I am very well educated in business law and things of that nature. And this sure smells of antitrust to me. I'll just paraphrase this real quick here. Diving even deeper, I have had many conversations with local claims management to try and find out what might be triggering changes. And what he's talking about here is changes in how the adjusters for these companies are approaching the negotiating process. Now, here in New York, this has become a unmitigated disaster. It's a nightmare, and only a bunch of jerk offs out there who want to suck on the tit of the insurance industry would say that that's not the case. All right, but if you're an independently owned and operated auto body shop in New York, and this is all across the state, it's not just Long Island, across the state, I would say it's more problematic down here. Only because you guys are more spread out up there. But then you should be listening up to this, because this is the real world. This is what's going on. Okay, and I think, like I said, I think this guy hit on something that's very serious. I think this might be part of what began the corrosive nature of what we see today in the insurance and collision industry. All right, so what he's talking about here is the number one response I get from these different management people. And he doesn't say how he knows these people or how he has access to them. I have no idea. It might be in passing. I don't know. They turn around, they claim that they are not achieving a tolerable subrogation recovery rate. Folks, insurance companies are all about what, right? Saving money. I tell you that all the time, right? And they look to save money when, where, and often, right? Subrogation rate. Well, they develop protocols, each company, ratios, for a return ratio on their subrogation. In other words, on average, they expect to get back so much in subrogation, right? Not all of it, but they expect to get so much. So that rate, that subrogation rate, they've been seeing a lot of wild sways in that. All right, a lot of deviations from what the expected rates are normally, right? Or expected ratios are normally. This figure represents the percentage of total paid claims cost that the insurance companies can successfully recover from an at-fault third party. Their target is typically about 10 to 15%. So there you go. One claims manager told me, quote, if we pay you for labor operations that another carrier typically does not pay for when they adjust claims, we will not get paid during our recovery efforts. Yet, I am also told that every claim is supposed to be adjusted on its own. And that's the old standard about every claim stands on its own merit and all this other shit. Based on the circumstances of that claim and that loss and what the car needs to be put back to pre-loss condition. I kept hearing the same rhetoric from other adjusters and claims managers. I am not an attorney, but this appears to be a systemic way of price fixing anti-crime. I couldn't agree more with this, folks. All right, we're going to leave on that note today. I went a little long in the tooth here, but I hope you got some enjoyment out of the show. I really think, hey, if you're in the auto body industry, we want to hear from you. All right, we really do. All right, give us a call, 631-452-2569. That's where you can reach me, owner-operator of Collision Service Network, obviously the host of Crash Course. Really want to get some feedback from the guys out there in the body shop world. And you don't necessarily have to live here. In the New York area. What do you think about this? I think this guy hit a home run on this. I think we have antitrust processes at work here. It's a veiled attempt, all right, to control or fix prices and fix the negotiating process. I've been arguing this for over 2 years now, that this is what we got going on. And they've always said over and over and over, there's no collusion. And I've always said that that's bullshit. Even as an employee of these wonderful insurance companies, I've always said that there is collusion. It's just always veiled and it's very difficult. I think this is exactly not the, but one of the serious issues that's driving this divisiveness in the negotiating process, especially here in New York. All right, so let us know what you think. Folks, don't forget, if you get in an accident, getting in an accident is no joke, and where you get your car fixed shouldn't be either. Go to V&J Auto Body. They've been our amazing sponsor from the beginning. I can't say enough about these guys. You know, I worked there for many years now. V&J Auto Body, cutting-edge technology, cutting-edge business practices, cutting-edge technicians, cutting-edge office personnel. They have been at the front line and at the front of all the progress in the auto body industry. You got to check them out. Go to vnjautobody.com and check out their facility. They can handle any make or model or any manufacturer. They are one of the most certified shops all around. 631-226-0070. You can ask for Chandler or James, and you even get to see little or me if you come down there, right? We got 24/7 towing. We go anywhere, any place, anytime to get your car, and we will deliver a rental right to your doorstep. V&J Auto Body. That's who you got to call if you get in an accident. See you on the next show.